Yes. Well, I think you already know, Wayne, that this is the class that's called From Beginning Photographer to Exhibiting Artist. So theoretically, what was it, 6, 8 weeks ago, they didn't know how to work a camera. This is actually their second visit back here. The next scheduled one is for their show.
Okay, great.
So, tell us about this
these
work.
weird pictures. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm Wayne Parsons, and I've been a member of this gallery for about 15 years. I started off doing black and white photography, and now I do mostly color, but I still do black and white. The 3 pictures you see here, the series is titled The Word, as you can see from the label. And the idea is that they all somehow involve writing and the written word and a play on the possibilities. So the juror liked this one. This particular one got the second prize. And the story on that is a picture of this, a little nail brush. And I made this picture by putting this brush on a flatbed scanner and then scanning just the brush and then manipulated the resulting image in Photoshop, duplicated it. The top part is pretty much what the image looks like without a lot of manipulation. And the bottom part is I took this part and moved it down here and then use some Photoshop tricks to make these kind of distortions that you see here. It reminded me of this particular Chinese calligrapher, Qin Nun, who lived from 1687 to 1743. And I saw his work in a show at the Metropolitan Museum, a show of Chinese calligraphy, and I liked it so much that this kind of manipulation reminded me of his calligraphic style. He has a very unique style, which I thought was very original, and so in honor of him, and since what I've done in the lower part kind of mimics his style, it's therefore the title. And that was fun to do. This piece over here, I did this just a couple of weeks ago, and the title of this is, let's see, Explorations and the Possibilities of the Written Word. I like that picture as much, possibly even more than the calligraphy, because to me it's more suggestive. There are a lot of ways you can do this. First of all, you've got these balls of paper. It took me a long time to figure out how to do that, to get the balls and make them hold their shape. The secret is you get the paper wet. If the paper's wet, then you can fold it into a shape you want, and it pretty much maintains that shape. But the associations for that picture, first of all, you've got balls or spheres. Spheres, if you know anything about geometry, they're the most efficient way of containing material. Most efficient in the sense that if you look at the surface area in relation to the volume, for the sphere, it's the most efficient. That is the smallest surface in relation to the volume. So if you're talking about language, you could say that words or language are a very efficient way of communicating. That would be a kind of association that to me makes sense there. Another thing, association, is the way they're arranged, the stacking, which is kind of similar to the way fruits, particularly oranges, round grapefruit, round vegetables are stacked in the supermarket. And mathematicians have played with that, and they've discovered that that particular kind of arrangement makes the most efficient use of the space. You can get more fruit if you stack it in that kind of arrangement than in any other possible arrangement. So again, there's that notion of effectiveness and power, the power of the word as a effective way of communicating ideas. And there's yet a third association that I have, which if you've ever been to an old-fashioned Civil War battlefield, you see cannonballs stacked up in the same kind of arrangement. So the association for me then is again with language and power, because cannonballs represent the physical power, so language doesn't represent necessarily physical power, but it represents a kind of power of ideas, which the ability of ideas to do things in our world. Questions thus far? Am I being too really weird and abstract? This one, that's the oldest picture. Actually, I made that back about 98 or 99. And you'll probably recognize this sentence. In the beginning was the word. That's the opening line from the Gospel of St. John in the New Testament. So I've repeated it 7 times. The number 7 has a lot of significance in a lot of cultures. So in the Bible, all sorts of things happen 7 times. I can't even remember them all, but it has a lot of significance. But to me, the fact that we've got, and the title of this piece is, Has Language Lost Its Magic? So by putting these band-aids on the picture, it's sort of raising the question of, a very vague question is, what is the power of linguistic communication now? What is the power of the word? You could think in terms of our literary traditions, for example. Are they alive and well? Are they kind of suffering because of whatever? And I don't answer any of those questions, I just kind of pose them. So you as the reader can look at it and come up with any solution or interpretation or answer to those questions that you want. And the fact that if you look at these band-aids carefully, they're all pop figures, Barbie and I forget who else, but Pooh and other figures from popular culture. So you could almost interpret that as saying that maybe popular culture is popular culture part of the problem, but part of the solution or the healing of whatever problems we're having with language in our world today. So I think I've said enough. Any questions?
You've used up the language.
Okay. But I enjoy doing these pictures. They're fun, and I hope you enjoy looking at them.
I do.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
I'm curious, the paper that you use for that right there?
This one?
Yes. Did the copy have any significance, or it was just a piece of paper that you took?
No, I tried to make it significant. I put in things I liked. There were some things I have, like the most obvious one is a poem by an 18th century German poet, Novalis, and it's a very sensuous poem about love and loss and things like that in German. There's also a section here from William Faulkner novella, The Bear. This right here is a selection from a thesaurus, words having to do with philosophy. Somewhere here I had a sonnet by Shakespeare. So I choose, and this is a text from a book on 18th century French furniture, which I happen to like.
So trying to fold that properly in order to show the proper poem, or that must have been hard.
It was kind of happenstance. I mean, that doesn't really come across, but I had fun trying to choose what if I had my way, which I did, what text would I select for these word balls? So those are a few I selected, and then there are a few others I can't even remember at this point.
Can I reiterate a word you just used?
Okay.
Fun.
Fun? Yeah.
Would you say that?
Fun. If it's not fun, don't do it.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to get across.
Yes, you got
So
it.
you consider that sculpture the artwork, or the photograph of the sculpture the artwork, or both?
I consider the photograph the art.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure, Lawrence.